To be your client's go-to creator of learning content, they need to see results, and we all know giving the audience the skill-building content they need is a massive part of that. But upon witnessing the recent backlash around Marvel's What If comic that sees Miles Morales become Thor, it raises the question, how well do you really know your audience, and what can you do to ensure that your content doesn't fall victim to the same audience trap? Just like any good hero rushing to the aid of others, you know as well as I do that before you can work out what learning content is needed to solve the client's problem, we need to know who we're teaching it to. Now, our initial client conversation certainly helps with that. By asking a few questions, you can usually find out about learners' jobs, location, age, and ethnicity, which all start painting a picture of the kind of skills that they already have, their access and openness to certain kinds of content, and whether English is their first language or not. On the surface, this seems like plenty of information to get going. I've certainly started the design process from here many times before, but each time I did that, I was unknowingly sabotaging my own project, just like the creator of What If. And it's highly likely you're doing it too. When the author brought together the character and cultures of Thor and Miles Morales in their book, they drew upon current events across pop culture, the news, and social media to create a world and craft a story around that in the end, nobody wanted. Because as the author found out, while each person's age, location, and ethnicity contribute to someone's lived experience, using these to guide and inform your content only leads to generalizations bordering on stereotypes that are too broad to connect with people. We need to do more than scratch the surface. That's why, before we jump into creating learning content, we use this three-step approach to understand our audience. So the client asks you to help train their people in a new procedure for dealing with difficult customers. Instead of just using the audience information the client gives you, you decide to talk to a few of the learners personally to find out what challenges them, what they're good at, and what drives them to come into work every day, to see what makes them tick. One tells you that they're good at handling conflict already from spending so much time negotiating with their kids. Another might say that they live a quiet life alone and find it difficult to be assertive, so clients often walk all over them. While another person who's been in the job for a while says that they find the client's problems a bit silly and difficult to relate to. And as you can see from these different skills, motivations, and challenges shared by the learners, they immediately change the direction of your training. But how do you begin to make use of this information when you're creating learning content? Well, capturing these stories in the form of a learner avatar, like this one, means every time someone in our design team contributes content, we can use it as a consistent source of truth to verify and give the audience what they actually need rather than having to guess. Of course, all of this only works if you align your audience's needs with the right objectives. That's why you'll want to watch this video next to make sure that your objectives are correct, clear, and to the point. I'll see you there.